All right, I'm Steve with Safety Speed Manufacturing here in the Safety Speed Demo Center, talking about our DFC-H5 combination panel saw and dust-free cutter. The DFC-H5 is based on our H5 panel saw, which has a 10-foot long frame, cuts up to 64 inches vertically, has a 32nd of an inch accuracy from the factory, and the maximum thickness of cut with the panel saw is 1 3/4 inches. A couple features that we're showing here, standard equipment with the DFC-H5 are the saw and the knife head that interchange. We have a 5-foot quick stop gauge, that's a sliding stop on the lower left. We also have a backer board, that's for thin material cutting, and that's removable for horizontal cuts. And that is held in place by these embedded magnets. We also have 2 toggle clamps on the base that adds to the clamping power. The removable clamp is only for when using the substrate cutter for dust-free cuts, and we have a rubber surface on the back side. That's what holds material in place, and I'll show how that operates here. So that interchangeable carriage is just 2 pins on top. We have an interlocking cord. You can disconnect the power, take the dust off, and that's right on top. These 2 pins here, move those. This mounts right in the same position, so it's always cutting on the same vertical cut line. And right on this knife carriage, we list which cartridge cuts what material. So we list for the knife cartridge, for example, corrugated plastics, foam board, PVC, and cardboard. We have the ACM cutting cartridge for ACM, and that's a dual wheel cutting cartridge for 3 and 4 mil ACM. That first cartridge I mentioned is our 3-blade cartridge. That has 3 utility blades, and these are standard utility blades you can find anywhere. And the reason for those 3 blades is on a thicker PVC, a lot of times with a handheld knife or a desktop cutter, you have to make multiple passes to cut all the way through. But with 3 blades, we cut gradually through, and in one pass, you can cut through that 1/2 inch. The third cartridge is our acrylic scoring cartridge. That's spring operated, and that applies pressure to the acrylic panel, and you can cut 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch scoring and snapping. An additional cartridge you can get, this isn't standard equipment, this would be an accessory, is a V-grooving cartridge for ACM. And then you can pull a V-groove out of the panel and bend it into a corner. I'll show you the material clamp. The key to this whole system is this red clamp. So with substrate cutting, the amount of pressure you put on a panel will make it tend to shift on the frame. So that's why we have this vertical clamp. And the way that mounts, we put it right underneath, pops in up top here. Bottom, now that's installed, and then this is your handle to control that, and that clamps, and that's cam operated, so you can really put a lot of pressure on there if you feel like a panel is going to shift. If you feel like it's shifting even with that, we of course can use those toggle clamps on the base to really hold things tight. One other accessory that I'm showing here on the DFC is our midway fence, and that's a removable shelf halfway up the frame. That's this red assembly here, includes a sliding stop. That's a removable melamine shelf that goes halfway up the frame here. Now the advantage to the midway fence is that for cutting smaller size pieces, now you're working at waist level of course, but also the added advantage is if I were to cut a small piece at the base, it has to touch at least 2 material rollers to maintain accuracy, where with the midway fence, I'm within 2 inches on both sides of the blade. So it's better supported, easier to cut, easier on your back, many things. If you have any additional questions about the DFC-H5, contact your Wensco sales rep or go to wensco.com.